I would now like to introduce Nate McCoy, who will introduce Kevin Beard.
Well, as you can see, I brought basically a bunk up here. I'm going to try to do this hopefully a little less time than it took me to do it last night. When I met Kevin earlier tonight, I was joking with him. I think I'm probably just as nervous as him, or maybe a little more nervous. So we'll try to have a good time up here. But I am very privileged and honored to be introducing the next inductee tonight, Kevin Beard. Kevin, as you will hear in a second, is one of the hardest working, most selfless golf professionals in the entire business, not just here in Iowa, but really anywhere for that matter. He's also extremely humble, so I'm sure as you're sitting over here having to listen to this, you're probably getting a little uncomfortable. But this is your night. So although Kevin didn't grow up here in Iowa, he surely made a massive impact on golf in our state, which is kind of what we're here for tonight. Kevin grew up in Leroy, Kansas, which is a small town located between Kansas City and Wichita. He didn't necessarily pick up the game of golf at an early age, but found football to play instead. Kevin was actually a heck of a football player and even played collegiately at Coffeyville Community College. Now, I don't know much about Kevin's time between his college years and first job as a professional, but the golf bug must have bitten Kevin pretty hard. Kevin's professional career started with jobs at different courses. His first was an assistant pro position that he held in 1985 at both Lake Shawnee Golf Course and Forbes Golf Course in Topeka, Kansas. He would later split time between the clubs, working 3 days at one and 3 at the other. Shortly thereafter, Kevin started work at Ankeny Country Club from 1986 to 1987. During that time, Kevin worked to complete his education to become a PGA Class A member. He later would move to Maryville, Missouri in 1988 to work as the head professional and general manager at Maryville Country Club, a position he held until 1989. Although his time was short in Kansas and Missouri, he most assuredly made a difference while serving those communities. And lucky for us, he did make his way up here to Iowa. So Kevin did find his way to Iowa and settled in Ankeny, where he was named the head golf professional at Otter Creek Golf Course in 1990. Kevin would find, soon after, Kevin drew upon his experience in Kansas, serving multiple clubs, to take on the challenge of running Otter Creek Golf Course and Ankeny Golf and Country Club at the same time. He began this dual role in 1991, and that continued until 1993. As Kevin became firmly established in Ankeny, he quickly turned his sights to junior golf. Starting in 1997, Kevin began what was known as Operation State Champ. The purpose of this program was to improve the performance of both the Ankeny boys and girls golf teams to the point that they would be able to qualify and compete for state championships. In later years, this program would expand and eventually include golfers from over 29 different schools all across central Iowa. The program involved both a summer and winter session, and now although in Iowa holding a summer golf program is not unheard of, it was the winter program that really differentiated itself from every other program in the state. The first year, it was held in the old clubhouse at Otter Creek Golf Course, where as many as 12 junior golfers from Ankeny would attend. Within 3 years, the program would grow from 12 to 60 juniors. From this point on, Operation State Champ really started to take shape. Due to the continued growth, Kevin and his team found a new home for the program in the old fire station in Ankeny. This location would become home of Operation State Champ for the next 10 years. Eventually, it would grow to the point that 200 junior golfers would attend the winter session and nearly 300 in the summer. Due to this influx, Kevin was able to employ up to 8 to 10 PGA professionals to help teach and assist. I was lucky enough to be able to attend and witness this program during some of those years, and this is also where I got to know Kevin. I personally remember walking into the firehouse for the first time. I was very excited and looking forward to it, as the name Operation State Champ included 2 words that really resonated with me and obviously many others, and that is State Champ. Kevin had the program working like clockwork. Students would arrive as early as 3:30 p.m. with new groups arriving every 30 minutes up until 7:30. The last session would actually end at 9 o'clock p.m. We would attend twice a week for an hour-and-a-half session each, and during my years it was very common that you'd be placed in a group with your high school team. And on one such occasion, I actually missed my team session and I was placed into the Ankeny girls golf team group. And, I think Kevin could sense my nervousness and apprehension, probably similar to the way I look right now. But he did come over and made the effort to reassure me that I would be just fine. Each session we would rotate through 3 purposeful stations or different rooms in the firehouse. These would include time in a classroom setting where we would learn, for example, the rules of golf or the ball flight rules, which I think if Jeff Gibb was here, I would point him out. I think he kind of taught that one. We would then move to the full swing room, which had a number of hitting stations. What was really interesting to me was the use of a launch monitor, which at that time I had never really seen one before. Kevin had one, and he made sure that everybody was able to use it, not just the exceptional players. The last room included a putting green that I believe is probably the fastest putting green I've ever used. I think it was built on, and Kevin could probably talk about this later, I assume it was built on 2x4s and plywood boards covered with some black carpet or felt. And basically it was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And I would love to see it again if it was still there. Through the whole process, we did receive very exceptional instruction and from obviously some of the best professionals in the state. Many of those instructors would later become members of the Iowa Golf Hall of Fame. When it was time to leave, we were reminded why we were there. The college flags, the pictures on the walls, from all the Operation State Champ alumni that kind of came before us really reminded us that with a lot of hard work, we could be just like them. I recently had a conversation with a longtime friend of Kevin's, Jeff Wendell. I mentioned to Jeff in a car ride on the phone with him, I said, Jeff, it's amazing that Kevin chose to do this every winter, as he could have been home relaxing and recharging for the next season. Jeff replied, for Kevin, this was recharging. Kevin did have a lot of other things going on. Just besides Operation State Champ, Kevin spearheaded the redo of Otter Creek Golf Course, which was a major undertaking. Kevin worked with golf course superintendent Tom Barrows and golf course designer Paul Miller on the design and construction of the course. Soon after, Kevin, along with others, oversaw the construction of the current clubhouse. A successful build and operation ended up showcasing to the city of Ankeny one of the finest municipal golf courses in the state. It was a huge success. During his career, Kevin also amassed a number of awards during his time in Iowa. Here are just a few I felt worth sharing. Kevin was named the Iowa PGA Section Junior Golf Leader of the Year 4 times from 2000 to 2006. He was the recipient of the Iowa PGA Section Bill Strausbaugh Award for being a leader in mentoring his fellow PGA professionals and improving their employment through service to the community. He was also named the Iowa Golf Association's Professional of the Year in 2000 and received the George Turner Distinguished Service Award in 2003 for his years of service and dedication to growing the game. Kevin set an incredible example to those that worked for him, and it is no surprise that after Kevin retired from Otter Creek Golf Course in 2017, it has continued to thrive. What I haven't mentioned during this introduction is Kevin's family. I do feel it would be best to let Kevin talk about them himself, but I can say to Kim and Alexis and Andrea, just thank you for sharing your husband with us and letting him pour himself into us all those years. I'm sure being away was very difficult at times, but it sounds like you guys got to see him a lot. So, but it doesn't take very long, obviously, to figure out how crazy Kevin is about you guys, and I'm sure you're very proud of him up here tonight. To conclude, to answer the question, why should Kevin Beard be inducted into the Iowa Golf Hall of Fame? It is not just because of the awards he accumulated or the trophies that he has won. It is much deeper than that. It is found in the thousands of lives Kevin touched, the numerous golf careers he helped start, and the belief he instilled in all of us that we can accomplish anything. Sorry, I got one more page. Quoting Jeff Wendell again, I believe he did say it best. again, in this conversation we had, Jeff said, Kevin deserves the Hall of Fame because he dedicated his entire career to other golfers. Kevin, congratulations, and thank you for all you've done for us in the state of Iowa.
I gotta tell a quick one on Nate. He was his first year there, and he was about 14 or 15, and one day he came in and was apologizing to us because he wasn't going to be able to be there on the Thursday night session. Because his dad was making him play golf someplace in Florida, where he said, what do you guys do? Some father and son event at the Seminole or something like that. And I remember we looked at him and said, you go right ahead and go down there. And that worked out really well for him. The Des Moines golf staff, thank you very much, and the IGA staff, thank you for putting on this. This is great.
Mike.
They're getting a new one, sorry. They're
Okay,
working on
I'll
it.
talk louder. I can do that. I'd like to thank all the friends who nominated me right off the bat, and to everyone who wrote letters in my support. Sam Billmeyer, Ron Peterson, Jeff Wendell, Jeff Webb, Dr. Tim Taylor, Captain Dr. Tim Taylor, I might say, Matt Van Cleve, and maybe more, but definitely my good friend Greg Mason. Greg and I have known each other in the golf business for a long time, and we used to talk about concessions and all sorts of stuff, fun stuff about golf at those point in time. He'd show up at the golf course, and his pickup would have cases of pop that he was taking back to the golf course. We've had a lot of times through there. I'd like to thank the selection committee. I am definitely humbled by this honor. And congratulations to all the other nominees. The playing careers of Doug and Joe are unbelievable, very deserving of this award. And to the late Jim Curl, boy, I wish you could be here with us tonight. He would love to be here. I got to work with Jim a few years at the end, and what a great man, what a great competitor. When I was told of my selection, I kind of looked back on my 27 years at Otter and said, why me? And we did host a lot of high school golf tournaments. We hosted a lot of junior tournaments in the summertime, championships. We had 13 USGA qualifiers when we were up there, which was good. The building of the new golf course, the new clubhouse, those are things we're really, really proud of. And all of those, we were fortunate enough at Otter to have the support of the city, which was our city managers at the time were Dick Ash and Carl Metzger. Longtime superintendent Tom Barrips always did a wonderful job, was always in great shape. Head professional Kurt Ingham and our food and beverage director Katie and Tealman, they made me look good every day. The last 5 or 6 years I really wasn't doing much. The reason I got in this is definitely because of the winter program. That's what. I actually started in '93. We went 4 years of summer camps, just trying to get. There was 2 golf courses in Ankeny at the time, soon to be more, and we just weren't doing very good. And so we decided to create this tournament, this program, the Operation State Champ. And at the time, it was just Ankeny kids. Our first winter program was '97. We had 1 mat. It was upstairs at the old Otter. We had 1 mat, 1 10-foot net, a camera, a VCR. I had a little black and white TV that I take dry erase markers on and draw on, and I had a VCR that go back and forth real fast. The second year we had 18 kids, and our first 2 girls participated in those. And one of those, Sarah Gilbert, would win state championship 2 years later. And that was a huge boost for our program because Sarah would be the first of many that went on to play college, and she had a great 4 years at Iowa State. By 2000, we were up over 50 kids, and we were out of space, so we moved to the fire station, which was a big, old, dusty, dirty building that's now a brewery. It's gone full circle. In 2001, we got a big boost in the form of a PGA Growth of the Game grant, which stretched over 3 years. And with that money, we were able to purchase a big net, a 30-foot net, a computer with V1 software, more cameras, our launch monitor that Nate spoke so highly of was one of those you had to put the black stripe on and point it at the camera, and it would spin as it's going out there. Probably less than accurate. And it allowed me to hire PGA professionals. Our students started having success, and attendance jumped in 2003 to 165. Now, 2003 was kind of fun because we had two young kids at the time, Jared Wallachowski, who would go on in 4 years later and win the state AM at age 17. And the very next year, Jack Newman would win the U.S. Pub Links in 2008. So that really gave huge validation to what we were doing. And by 2007, we had teams of players playing and winning state championships. We had students from 29 different schools one year. They were coming in as far as Tama, Hella, Carroll. We had a group of girls came from Carroll. They'd come in, whole schools would come in. They'd have their whole class. And we'd rotate them through. And I remember leaving those nights at the fire station in January, February, about 10 o'clock at night. We'd turn our cars on with the last half-hour class and just try to get them to warm up. It was crazy. I used to keep track of how many state appearances we had, and when I was going back through my computers and stuff, I could only get back to 2009, but from 97 to 2009, we had 108 boys, made 192 appearances at the state tournament. We had 4 individual state champions and 5 second place finishers. We had 24 boys teams playing state with at least 3 people on the team from the program, and 2 of those won the championship and 4 finished second. We had 70 girls, made 127 appearances at state. We had 8 individual state champions, 4 second place finishes. We had 4 team championships and 5 top 3 finished teams. We also had 6 state co-ed champions that both players came from the program. Had to give the program up in 2011 with the new clubhouse. There was duties for me in the wintertime. Judd Gibb was my right-hand man for the last 4 or 5 years, and he was able to carry it on for a few years until he went up to Fort Dodge. Most people don't know this, and I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying this to show how important it is to have a really good team around you. I'm actually in 2 other athletic Hall of Fames. The 1980 Coffeyville Junior College football team is in the Coffeyville Athletic Hall of Fame, and I was a member of that team. We had the #1 offense in the country, 2 running backs who would go on to play in the NFL. We had Mike Rozier, who'd go on to Nebraska and win the Heisman Trophy. We averaged over 50 points a game, and I punted. But I'm still in there. They still let me in. Then I went to Washburn in my junior and senior year. In our junior year, we were 1-9. So my senior year, we won the conference. Why, we looked really good at that point in time, and we got inducted. The Washburn football team is inducted into the Washburn Athletic Hall of Fame. It did turn out a couple years later that we had 5 or 6 guys from New Jersey that had transferred in that year that may have been 28 or 29 years old. My point is this, none of this would have been successful without any teammates, and our winter program was no different. The teachers I had for that program were great. So a big thank you goes out to the following. I'm going to name them, and I hope I get all of them. PGA Hall of Fame member Judd Gibb, like I say, he was my right hand for the last 5 or 6 years. He's great. He calmed me down every night, which was good. PGA member Tom Tays, PGA member Judd Gibb. Now I got to stop right there because we had Gibb, Tays, and Webb in the same room at night for 4 nights a week, and the comedy was just to die for. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was great to go. PGA member and Hall of Fame member Chad Prohl, PGA member Sarah Bibney, who's a great champion for junior golf and continues today. PGA member Chris Winkle, PGA member Mark Egley, Hall of Fame member also, and our greatest champion for junior golf and kids by far, still to this day does an unbelievable job. Thanks for that, Mark. PGA member Kurt Ingham, PGA member Corey Schultz, PGA member Jay Horton, here's the name, PGA member Shane Marvelli, I haven't heard Shane for a while, JW Creighton, PGA member, and PGA member Brian Lorenz. Brian was originally a student in the program, and then a teacher, and now a PGA member, which that's pretty neat. There's a couple of kids that went through the program. I was trying to get Justin McCormick is down at Southern Hills. He went through the program from Johnston. I believe there was a couple others. And I had a number of Otter Creek staff who worked the program that I have to please give thanks to. Is the late Larry Piper. He was our full swing teacher in all the summer camps and taught the winter classroom for years. We miss him. Dave Rewer, he built every putting green and hung every net. Brandon Miller, Andy Logan, John Ernest, who many of you might know in this room here. He was a teacher for years. Reed Peterson, Caitlin Muck, and Scott Hart. Like I said, I hope I didn't forget anyone. It's an impressive list of people who went to Great Lakes to make that program a success. My last list is much shorter, but equally as important, if not more so. I want to thank my two daughters, Alexis and Andrea, who without their support and encouragement, none of this would have been possible. I admit this freely. I wanted my two daughters to play golf, and I knew they might not golf if it wasn't one of the cool sports in high school. And they wanted to play soccer, and they were goalies. But after Sarah Gilbert won state, all of a sudden girls golf was kind of cool, so they dropped soccer, thank you, and they had great golf careers, and it's all good now. It kind of hurts when I was putting this together, it had never dawned on me, but we really never sat down to dinner Monday through Thursday for January or February for 15 years. So that's a lot to ask for your kids, and they did, and that was on top of a really busy summer job. So thanks, girls, and I'm most proud that we still love each other after all those lessons when things weren't going so well. Like every day before state, when we were trying to keep the ball from squirting to the right. And they got very tired of me telling them to stop crying. And finally, my rock, Kim. We've been married for 41 years. We were high school sweethearts, and she is my everything. She raised our daughters, who've turned out great, and she encouraged me to keep going when it's been a lot easier not to. So I can't thank her enough for everything she's done. Thanks, Dad. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.